tell a story about my first day of work, working at the mall right near my high school when I was a teenager. Now, as you can imagine, first day of work, it's not my first job. It's actually my third at the time, but I am filling out the tax forms. You go in, you have to give them your social security card and your driver's license to make a copy of, and all of that mess like they do now. And then they hand you this stack of unfamiliar mice-type forms, and those things that would basically force anybody with perfect vision to use a microscope in order to read. And they send you off to fill out these forms in the food court. Now, I'm legally blind. I see with my glasses roughly, and this is a rough estimate, about 10% of what the rest of the world sees in terms of clarity and acuity. So when I read extremely close to the subject matter that I'm reading. So here I am hunched over the table. I've got a giant Chick-fil-A cup full of iced tea or lemonade sitting there, and I'm working on filling out these foreign forms, and I hear over my shoulder, "Man, you need some new glasses." Now, I was impetuous. I was young. I was frustrated. I was nervous about my first day of work, and I turned and I was very snide and said something to the effect of her needing some new manners, but at least I can go to an eye doctor. And
yeah, I was not nearly that polite, but this is a family channel.
Moved on from there. Her daughter proceeded to crawl under the table because her mother had just embarrassed her and been dressed down for it. But I wanted to take the chance to talk about this because one of the things we encounter in the world when we're out in public is we're on display. I don't have the coloration associated with OCA or any of the other types of albinism, but when I'm reading or when I'm trying to see something at a distance that's out of my normal range of view, about 3 feet, I call attention to myself. I stand out from the norm, and as such, I become a target for derision from those who are out there and are stupid. And I mentioned in one of my other videos, it may or may not have gone up yet, that I have very short fuse when it comes to people who are just stupid. And intelligent questions and discussion regarding my vision, I always welcome with open arms because it's an opportunity for me to act as an educator and to tell folks about the condition and to let them know about my circumstances. Folks who are just going to make a snotty comment, I have very low patience for. I have been sitting at dinner with my family and had a waiter come up or waitress come up and say that the menu isn't scratch and sniff. I have had any number of comments made over the years regarding my vision. One of my favorites is when I go to write a check or sign something and somebody says, "Man, your vision's almost as bad as mine." I know a lot of times those sorts of comments are meant to be joking, and I've admitted openly I am the first to be the one to use my own vision as the punchline for a joke. I am very comfortable talking about my vision to anybody who is willing to listen, and if you know me well, and if you are a part of my community and my family and my friends, it's fair game. However, if I am sitting down and I am having dinner with my family or my friends, and a perfect stranger feels that they are okay with walking up and making reference to how I am reading something, all bets are off. They're not going to go up to someone in a wheelchair and say, "You need a new set of legs." Why do they feel that it's okay for them to approach me in a way that disrespects me in front of my family and my friends? So I want to talk about that a little bit, and I'm telling these stories because I think it's important to understand that bullying doesn't stop at middle school. It doesn't stop when high school stops. It doesn't stop at the end of college. Bullying is something that's going to exist everywhere. And I know currently we've got all of these PSAs out there with, these anti-bully campaigns and everything else, and that's great to get kids to get along and to teach them that they don't need to put up with being bullied and that the bullies need to learn their place and to stop. But I believe that these folks who live under the delusion that we're somehow going to have a society at some point in time that is free of bullying, they don't understand human nature, and I think they're looking for some utopian myth that will never exist and cannot exist as long as there are humans walking the planet. The key is how we deal with them. And I'm not always the best about dealing with the stupid question or the snide comment. I'm pretty good about playing it off sometimes if the situation kind of allows me to do so and they catch me in the right frame of mind. But if I'm caught off guard and someone has made an off-color comment regarding my vision, I'm not always the best example. Again, when I'm with my family and my friends and my peer group, it's fair game. I joke around quite a bit about it. When I'm out in public and someone feels that it's okay for them to just walk up to a total stranger, I think that sometimes that person needs to have themselves put into place. And maybe that falls into that category of bullying and the idea that we're supposed to stand up to the bully so that they don't do it anymore. And as somebody who considers himself an advocate for the visually impaired and as an ambassador for our community, perhaps me putting my foot down and stopping a situation like that when it occurs is an appropriate response. Maybe it's a way for me to pave the way or smooth the way a little bit for somebody else who's coming later. But I think that it's important for us to recognize the fact that we've all encountered that fool out there in the world who thinks that it's okay to make some snotty comment to us. And maybe this can be used as a conversation starter. What sorts of comments have you encountered over the years? I know there's all the little names that get called out there, especially for the OCA community, who get a lot of comments regarding their complexion and hair color and things like that. But how do you deal with it when somebody makes a snotty comment? How do you deal with it if somebody asks a question kind of innocently out of their own ignorance with a true want to understand? Do you consider yourself an advocate for yourself? Do you consider yourself an ambassador for the community? I'd be interested to know what sorts of stories you've got out there. So, thanks, and have a great night.